This is the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial endowment expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on September 14th, 2017. Our time is 8:47 Mountain. Our radio show runs on 6:30 CHED, Sunday afternoon at 3. If you ever miss a radio show, they're archived on Harold's website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We have a podcast through iTunes, and all you need to do is type in The World Financial Report on Radio. You'll find us right there, and you can start podcasting, take our radio show anywhere you go. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. And as usual, we have just a gorgeous featured diamond. The diamond this week is a 1+ carat radiant cut fancy intense blue. See it, featured diamond of the week, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And don't forget, if you would like to receive our free weekly newsletter, the companion to our radio show, Speak with Harold, get your name on the list. We'll be happy to send it out to you. You'll see the articles that we're talking about, and we definitely want you to be reading those on a weekly basis, listening to the radio program, keeping yourself up to date financially. You work so hard for the money that you earn. You need to profit and protect that money when it comes to the financial world and geopolitical. Now, what a week it was. Of course, Hurricane Irma did hit the United States right about 8 a.m. our time, Mountain Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time Zone, hit the Keys of Florida, and then it moved through Florida from there. And if you take a look at all the devastation of the Caribbean, it worked out that actually it was not as bad, obviously still very, very severe, but not as bad as predicted what hit Florida. Of course, they continue to clean up Harvey in Houston, and there was an earthquake, an 8.0 earthquake that hit Mexico. So what a weekend it was. And strangely enough, North Korea did not act up. They didn't fire any missiles. They gave us a little bit of a break, although there were sanctions against North Korea, and North Korea threatening the United States yet again. But Harold, you're a Canadian who lives in the United States. You live in Colorado and Florida. And give us an update on what happened with Irma in relation to you and your family.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody who called, who sent emails and texts. We really, really, truly appreciate it. Fact is that living in South Florida, you know, it's a way of life. And basically, after we got hit with Hurricane Wilma back about 12 years ago, at that point there, we decided that living in Florida during the summertime, during hurricane season, just wasn't feasible. So that's why we operate our businesses and live in Colorado for the hurricane season. But this is just a perfect example. The fact is that when Irma hit, it was considered actually one of the largest hurricanes ever. It was over 400 miles wide, and we are obviously extremely concerned for our family and friends and business and everything in South Florida. And what happened is that there was quite a bit of destruction. And in actual fact, at this particular point, I was fortunate because my home only had very, very minimal damage, actually nothing to the home, actually just a large tree blew down. However, we're also on the same grid as the police and fire departments, and we never lost power. So we were very, very fortunate. My children and 3 grandchildren decided to leave Fort Lauderdale area and drive up to Alabama. And when the hurricane shifted, it actually shifted to the west, hit Naples dead on the west coast of Florida, then came up the coast, and where did it end up going? Right into Alabama. So you can't outrun these things. Fortunately, there was no issues with my family. Everybody survived it fine. As far as businesses go, we're taping the show on Thursday, and our office in Florida, in Sunrise, just opened today. We are just able to get back into the office today, but our office in Palm Beach, which is our main office, is still shut down. In actual fact, Palm Beach is such an exclusive area, and we're right on the ocean. So the fact is we had to actually evacuate that office. It's been closed for a week now. There was no real damage to the actual office, but there is no power, there's no air conditioning, there's no internet service, there's a 6 o'clock curfew every single day. You're talking the wealthiest street in North America, Worth Avenue. That's where our private showroom is. And again, that probably won't open till maybe Monday or Tuesday of next week. We got a special permission pass to go to the office today on the Thursday that we're taping the show, but it was very difficult to see. West Palm Beach, or the island, Palm Beach Island, is the most exclusive island in North America. I mean, it's absolutely magnificent. It's where Trump lives. It's where the wealthiest people live, and the most amazing shopping and restaurants and everything, and it's all shut down. The amount of sand and water from the ocean and the tide and everything just really wreaked havoc on the whole area. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get back into our offices for Monday or Tuesday and then resume business from that point. Again, I truly want to thank everybody who called and had so much concern. We were so pleased to read all the emails when Maggie got back into the office today. She said there was over 30 phone calls, and I know I must have gotten 40 or 50 emails from clients and friends in Canada that were concerned. So thank you very, very much. We're all safe. Business will be back up and around for next week, and that's basically it. You know, the thing is that these hurricanes, they do so much destruction, and the insurance companies are so unethical. Like, for example, with Hurricane Harvey in Houston, there was over 40,000 homes that were destroyed. The majority of those homes don't have flood insurance. Now, you may have hurricane insurance, but if you don't have flood insurance, you're out of luck. And these people have mortgages on their homes. Their homes got destroyed. What does that mean? That means that they still owe on the mortgage, but they don't have any money or anything to buy a new home. And it's the same thing with the cars. There was almost 1 million cars in Houston that were destroyed. People don't buy cars for cash in most cases. Most people finance. So your car gets ruined by flooding. The insurance company doesn't cover it. You now don't have a vehicle, and you still owe money on your loan. So how wrong is that? This is what these insurance companies are all about. These smaller insurance companies are going to go out of business. There's no way in the world that they're going to be able to pay out, their share of the $100 billion worth of damages that happened in Houston. And the number is not out on South Florida yet. But the fact is that there was a lot of damage. The Keys got destroyed. 25% of all the homes in Key West and in the Keys are gone. So those are all, that's a horrible situation. And then all throughout Miami was flooding, all throughout the, east and west coast of Florida. Naples got hit dead on. Marco Island got hit dead on, and then all the way up the coast. It's just an unbelievable thing. Randy, we talked so many times about an emergency hitting and people not having $500 for an emergency. Well, there was over 6 million people in Florida that were evacuated. Where do you go? I mean, they can't afford to stay in a hotel someplace or buy gas or food, or they don't have money for that. The statistics are so alarming to see how poor most people are at this particular point. Then these disasters hit, and it wipes them out, because not only do they have to leave and spend whatever savings they have to just be able to survive for those week or 2 weeks, but as I mentioned before, if there's not adequate insurance, how are you ever going to rebuild your home or your car situation? So this is really a terrible, terrible time between Houston, between Florida, and then as what you mentioned, Randy, with that 8.4 earthquake in Mexico. A lot of people thought that it was due to or had something to do with the eclipse that happened last week, but it really had nothing to do with that at all. But again, this is a trying time. This is really going to put a lot of pressure on the United States, on their budgets, on things like that, on the people in the U.S. It's a very, very difficult time. And again, if you look at the markets, they really didn't respond at all to these disasters at this particular point. Gold's been choppy the last few days. It's really reacting much more to what's happening in North Korea and the U.S. dollar than it is to anything. So gold right now is trading at $13.25, up about $2 or $3 on the day. Silver's trading right now at $17.72. Platinum right now is trading at $9.85. Palladium's trading down $10 at $9.30. U.S. dollar's trading right now at 92.5 cents, and the Canadian is at 122. The biggest disappointment, I've had tremendous success over the years calling the markets. I really thought that President Trump was going to be a winner. I thought he was going to do an excellent job once he really got into this, and he was going to do, a lot of the things that he said that were going to be great for the country. But so far, it hasn't worked out. I don't know if I always felt that, put a strong businessman into running a country, because what is a country? It's a business. You've got money coming in taxes and that, and you've got money coming out in expenses and all that. So it's a business. U.S. sells products and, to other countries, and they buy it, and the same with every other country. So, the fact is that I thought that Trump was really going to do an excellent job, but it certainly appears that you have to have some type of political know-how in order to be able to deal with the people in the political arena, and Trump just doesn't seem to be doing that. In actual fact, it's shocking to me that the U.S. dollar has come down at this point, and I'm really putting almost all of that towards Trump. He hasn't done anything that he said he's going to do. Enough with this stupid wall already. The fact is to get into the taxes, try to get people back to work, and make the country profitable again. But so far, he hasn't done that. I do believe that the U.S. is still the major game in town. The fact is that Europe is in terrible shape financially. I'm totally confused as to what's happening in Canada. Again, raising interest rates when there's no inflation and when the debt level is the highest it's been, and the real estate debacles, it makes no sense to me. So what's happening in the world financially right now is very confusing. It doesn't make an awful lot of sense. At these particular times, I like to take a step backwards and reevaluate everything and think about where we're going next on these situations, because, again, you don't want to speculate in these markets. They're just trading within a range. The only market that seems to be moving at this point is the Dow, and that's only because of a few stocks. There's no way in the world that they can view the United States as doing tremendous right now, because, as we talked about a few minutes ago, most Americans are not doing well financially. So, again, at this particular point, we need to see things settle down. I'm not just going to make a recommendation to you just for the sake of making a recommendation. For the last 3 to 4 years, gold and silver have been in a trading range, partially due to the fact that that's where the government wants the gold market to be. They don't want it to be high at this point because, again, it signals that, the economy isn't doing well. But if they continue to let the U.S. dollar fall, it's inevitable. Gold has got to go up. If the U.S. dollar goes down, it's an action-reaction type of market. Do I feel that the U.S. dollar is going to stay down? No, I don't. Even in spite of Trump and his shortcomings, the fact is that still there's a lot of money coming into the U.S., and I do believe that the U.S. dollar is still going to be the strongest currency. But at this point here, recommendation-wise, again, we need to see gold break above 1380. It's a big spread between 1,050 and 1380 to wait to get confirmation that the market's going to break out, but it's important, because we've seen many, many times that a market will come up to its support or resistance levels and then not do anything. How long did it take for gold to break $1,300? And $1,300, even though it's a psychological support level or resistance level type of thing, the fact is that 1380 is the important number. So right now, I would find it difficult to believe unless we saw a huge drop in the dollar or we went to war with North Korea, that would spur the U.S. dollar and the gold market, and gold market could literally take off on a run again. Do I believe that gold is going to be a strong investment again? 100%. I do believe that there's going to be a time in the foreseeable near future that we're going to have to buy gold. I mean, we own gold, and I still own a tremendous amount of gold myself personally, and silver, and it's not something that I'm selling because it's a hedge against everything bad that could happen. So where most of my investments are in U.S. dollar-based investments, I still own gold to offset that just in case anything happens. And that, to me, is a smart idea because, again, if you're not doing that, if you're not covering yourself and your investments, what you're doing is you're leaving yourself naked in the market. And it means that if the market goes your way, great, you're going to make a lot of money. But if the market goes against you, you have no protection and it's going to wipe you out. So, again, at this point here, we need to see some moves in the dollar. We need to see some situations happening as far as inflation. But, again, I just don't see inflation as a factor. So I'm still sitting here scratching my head, Randy, as to why in the world they raised interest rates in Canada. What benefit was that when most Canadians are having the highest debt level that they've ever had? So, again, at this point, most markets are trading in a range. We're not going to recommend something to you that we don't think has got a good chance of making you money. So, again, we monitor the markets every day. We look for certain situations to happen in the market. They're just not happening at this particular point. So, again, we're just on a watch situation, monitor the situations. If gold breaks 1380, then we're going to be a massive buyer of gold at that particular point. So get ready for that if that's going to happen, and we'll obviously continue to keep you updated. The newsletter this week is sensational. Randy did a phenomenal job. So if you don't get the newsletter already, it's totally free of charge. In fact, everything that we do, we don't charge for. The radio show, our seminars, we do online seminars. We do everything for our clients, and we try our best to make certain that the investments that we bring to our clients are the right investments. So at this point, Randy, again, there's a lot happening in the world geopolitically that can move the gold in the currency markets. We believe the number one situation that could move these markets tremendously is the situation with North Korea, and that's something that definitely we're monitoring every day.
If you're confused about where you should be putting your money today, Harold has programs, private investment programs, where he can help you start making money right now. Connect with Harold at 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. The website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Our featured diamond of the week. We'll talk about diamonds in the second half of the show. Featured diamond is a 1+ carat radiant cut fancy intense blue, and this is a museum piece, and it's one of the rarest of the rare diamonds that Rare Colored Diamonds does have in its vaults. You can see it online, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. Some of the top stories of the week, and this, to me, is just absolutely stunning. You won't believe it if you're an investor. Yes, the Bank of Japan now owns 75% of Japanese ETFs. So you know how in Canada we have ETFs on the TSX that invest in stocks and bonds and real estate. Well, in Japan, they now hold 75% of the nation's ETFs. Talk about market manipulation. Since December 2010, when the Bank of the Bank of Japan held no ETFs at all, the central bank has been buying ETFs, doubling its annual buying target to 6 trillion yen in July 2016 as part of an unprecedented economic stimulus. Well, the Nikkei 225 stock average has risen 89% since December 2010. The Bank of Japan's dominance of the ETF market has raised concerns. In fact, a circular, vicious cycle. The Bank of Japan's purchases have helped asset managers buy ETFs surge almost tenfold since the end of 2010 to 25 trillion yen, 230 billion. So basically, this has been a one-way bet for those that are investing in the stock market as a result of the Bank of Japan going in and buying, now owning 75% of ETFs in Japan. Absolutely amazing, unprecedented. Now, some of the other news of the week, it was quite shocking. Dennis Miller not the comedian, but a financial writer, came out and had some interesting statistics. A good 33% of Americans have zero retirement savings. Roughly 30% of Americans 55 and older have no retirement savings. 56% of Americans have less than $10,000 in retirement savings. Only 31% of seniors 65 and over have $200,000 in a retirement account. About 25% of Americans 65 and over rely on Social Security as their only source of retirement income. And it's interesting to note that in the United States, they just passed $20 trillion in debt for the very first time. And the feds collected in the United States, and they still have a deficit of around $674 billion. They collected record taxes through August. So they're collecting record amounts of money, tax-wise, but they still run a deficit of $674 billion. One of the stories, too, that caught our attention this week, Australian banks are sitting on, listen to this, 500, and this is in Australian dollars, 500 billion of liar loans, according to UBS. Here's something else for policymakers to worry about as they attempt to engineer a soft landing in Australia's property market. The country's lenders could be sitting on 500 billion of liar loans or mortgages obtained on inaccurate financial information. According to an estimate by UBS Group AG, a survey by the firm of 907 Australians who took out mortgages in the last 12 months found that 67% stated their application was completely false, and that was actually down from, completely factual and accurate, down from 72% the previous year. So that leaves you have roughly 33% of those that have overstated income and understated living expenses, and they believe they have 500 billion of liar loans. And that was the thing that brought down the United States, the financial crisis, the liar loans that were packaged up and sold as investments, and then we ended up with a financial crisis in 2007, 2008, and on into 2009 in the United States. Absolutely amazing that the mistakes of the past continue to be made today. As Harold was saying, we're in a time now where it's very confusing financially and geopolitically. And if you have any questions whatsoever, that's why we do this radio show. That's why Harold is there. He's willing to speak to you at any time. Give him a call, 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022. The website is rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. It's time to profit and protect the money that you have invested today, and Harold will be happy to help you do that. Let's come back and talk about diamonds. As the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall, continues right after this. Welcome back to the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on September 14th, 2017. Our time is 9:13 Mountain. Radio show runs 6:30 CHED in Edmonton, Sunday afternoon at 3. If you ever miss a radio show, they're archived on Harold's website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We have a podcast as well through iTunes. Type in The World Financial Report on Radio. You will find us there. The featured diamond of the week is a 1+ carat radiant cut fancy intense blue diamond. It is a beauty. And to see the intensity of the color, go to rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week, and you can see the diamond there. It is absolutely gorgeous. And Harold, give us a little bit of information on this diamond.
Well, it is a beauty. And we all know, especially over the last few years, how well blue diamonds have done. So blue diamonds turn blue because boron enters the ground as a mineral and changes the diamond from white to blue. The price changes tremendously. A white diamond of 1 carat, let's say, could be worth 20 grand. This blue diamond, just because it turned blue, it's made of exactly the same of everything that the white diamond is, except that it turned blue, and it could change by thousands of percent. So blue diamonds have actually done better than any other diamond asset or almost any other asset over the last 10 or 12 years. Back in 2005, when we were talking about auctions, some very important blue diamonds, vivid blues, were selling at about $200,000 a carat. Now, if you compare that to the rarest diamonds of that point, which were red diamonds, which were selling for well over $1 million to $2 million a carat, depending on the diamond. So, blues were rare, but nowhere near as reds at that particular point. But between 2005 and 2017, blue diamonds have gone from 200,000. I'm talking the vivid blues, the really high quality ones. Went from 200,000 to where this year some vivid blue important diamonds were selling for upwards of $4 to $5 million a carat. So that's the type of return that I was talking about. Blue diamonds have surpassed red diamonds as far as being the rarest diamonds. And it's not like there is a lot of these diamonds around. Maybe, if we're lucky, once every 2 or 3 years a blue diamond will come onto the market to be sold. As far as finding blue diamonds, it's nearly impossible. Very, very few diamond mines in the world produce blue diamonds. The Cullinan mine in South Africa is probably the most famous, and that's where the most amazing blue diamonds have come from. So, again, to get a blue diamond that's over a carat is extremely rare, and this one happens to be intense in color. So the way that the Gemological Institute of America, GIA, this is how they grade blue diamonds, you're going to get like a faint blue or a very light blue, and those are not very valuable. Then you get into the light blues, and I've seen some amazing light blue diamonds that are very soft and very beautiful. But then you get into the fancy blues, which has got more saturation. Then you go to the fancy intense blue, which the feature diamond is, and it's got a stronger saturation. Then you've got the fancy deep blue, which is which is very, very heavily saturated, and they're stunning. They're just very, very deep and beautiful. And then you've got the vivid blues, which has got the highest saturation and consequently the most expensive prices. So it's these very rare, vivid blue diamonds that have come up at auction recently and have just sold for absolute fortunes. So that's what the blue diamond market is, and now we're starting to see that in the pinks and in the green market. 95% of all pink diamonds come from the Argyle mine in Western Australia. That mine is going to close by 2020. We anticipate that the price of pink diamonds will increase substantially. Obviously, the higher the saturation, the more the diamond will be worth. The larger the diamond, the more it will be worth. But 95% of Argyle pink diamonds are under a quarter carat. They're known as the most concentrated form of wealth on earth. And again, to get a pink diamond that's a half a carat to a carat is extremely rare for an Argyle pink. So, again, we're very excited about what's happening in the diamond market. The other thing is that as the markets get more volatile and things around the world get crazier and the markets don't make sense, it's these type of assets, alternative assets, that tend to draw the most attention. The fact is that you can buy stocks, and if you're comfortable trading stocks, that's great, or commodities or bonds or whatever. But owning an alternative asset like gold, like a diamond, like art, these are assets that you love. These are assets that you hold in your hand and you marvel at their beauty. These are assets that, more than likely you don't want to sell. In fact, you want to hand them down to the kids and the grandkids and let them gain more and more and more value. I've collected some amazing coins over the years, and, Randy has seen them, the Libertad, the Kilo coins, and some of the most, and these are coins that, for the sake of my business, my auction business, I would put them up for auction. But it literally broke my heart to sell them because I never want to sell these pieces. These pieces are irreplaceable. When you buy a diamond, you can never replace that diamond because very, very seldom, in fact, it's almost impossible to find a matching pair of diamonds. So the fact is that once you sell that asset, you'll never get that asset back, and you'll never get it back anywhere near the price that you sold it for. Every time that I put up an auction and I sell one of my gold coin sets or silver coin sets, it really tugs at my heart, because these are magnificent pieces that I bought because I truly enjoyed owning them and holding them on my hand and looking them and showing them to friends and things like that. Along with the fact they go up quite substantially in value. We had bought some coins in 2004, the Tiffany coins, that were $250, and that was in 2004. By 2017, I went to rebuy them. They were $6,500 to $7,000 for a 2-ounce Tiffany coin. That's how much these coins go up. I could have bought much more of the coins at that point. I had bought 5 of them. I sold 4 of them to good clients and friends, and I only have one of them in my own collection. But again, that particular coin went from $250 to almost $7,000 from 2004 to 2017. So in 13 years, that particular asset has skyrocketed more than almost any other asset that I know during that particular time. So that's why collecting coins or diamonds or watches or jewelry or art, whatever, if it makes you happy, if it brings a smile to your face, if it brings a smile to your wife or your husband's face, if you give it as a gift or giving it to the kids as they, move on to other phases of their life, these are the type of assets that you should look at, and these are the type of assets that we specialize in.
Speak with Harold personally, privately, about investing in hard assets. 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. The website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Our featured diamond of the week is a 1+ carat radiant cut fancy intense blue. And one of the things that we have in our free weekly newsletter is actually a little piece from a story that Egon von Greyer's did. And he talks about what's ahead on economic risk, and he talks about financial risk. And one of the reasons we are strong believers in hard assets like diamonds is some of the risk that presents itself in the world today. And I thought this was so well done. On the economic risk side, he talks about global debt being $230 trillion. And really, it can never be repaid. It's just so massive. Nor financed when rates start to normalize and go up, because then you're going to have people having to make interest payments on a massive, massive amount of debt. Also, unfunded global liabilities are about $250 trillion. They will never be honored. We're talking about pensions and promises that have been made. Central banks' balance sheets, $20 trillion, all insolvent. U.S. is basically insolvent, only supported by an overvalued dollar and military. He goes on to say China's debt explosion from $2 trillion to $40 trillion since the 2000 massive bubble is a big concern. Most industrialized and emerging countries only survive with quantitative easing, which is untenable at best. Interest rates at 0 or below in 20 countries is unsustainable. Paper money system, the currencies could possibly go to 0 based on what's happening economically. When it comes to financial risk, global derivatives of and Harold has talked about this, 1.5 quadrillion will all implode as counterparties fail. Bankrupt European banking system is unlikely to survive the way it is. An over-leveled global banking system is levered at 20 to 50 times, and there are bubbles in most asset classes like stocks, bonds, and property. Then you add to it, obviously, as we talked about earlier in the show, the United States now hitting $20 trillion in debt. And Harold, now is a time to take a hard look at hard assets. And we're talking about assets that when you need to get out of Dodge, as those people did in Florida, they can quite easily transport their wealth, real estate in their pocket, and not have a worry. And one of the stories that we have in our free weekly newsletter is something from Town and Country magazine. The notion of stones and jewelry as an asset class is one that has only recently caught on in the United States. To illustrate his point, Bill Noble of Dallas's William Noble Rare Jewels points to Shirley Temple's diamond, and we've talked a lot about that. 9.54 carat fancy deep blue, purchased in 1940 by her father for her at $7,210 and was sold for over $25 million. Americans have been the last to understand that diamonds provide a concentrated form of wealth that comes close to a true currency because they're rare, transferable, durable, and portable. Legends of Russian and French aristocrats fleeing revolutions with diamonds sewn into their hems still resonate. And he goes on to say, I know people who want to buy some diamonds to put away. They know in uncertain times they can sell them quickly. That according to jewelry expert Chris Delgado. And he has a firm that specializes in private collections. And they go on to say in this story, they know that they can take the stones with them. You can do that with diamonds. You can't do it with a building. It's really a bunker mentality in the times that we currently live in. And Harold, that's something that you've educated us on since 2005 when you started rarecolorediamonds.com, brought us the information on diamonds as an investment, and you said it was real estate in your pocket, portable wealth, private portable wealth. And that's what we're seeing around the world, people starting to catch on to this, and they're investing accordingly based on what we're seeing.
Exactly, Randy. And again, you know, most people, when you say portable private wealth, will say, well, why would I possibly need that? I'm not going to leave the country. I'm not going to some other country. Things aren't that bad that I would have to leave. But just look what happened. This week alone, we had, or in the last few weeks, you had 2 major hurricanes, and people had to leave because of that. Over 6 million people in Florida had to leave their home. Now, what happened, if other situations just as bad or worse happen, right now in the United States, because of Donald Trump, President Trump, people despise him, certain people despise him, and are expatriating. They're leaving the country. They think that he's going to ruin the country, and they don't want to live in a country with somebody like him as a president. So they're giving up their passports. They're expatriating. They're going to another country. Now, how do you do that? First of all, you're giving up your citizenship in the United States. Then you're going to go to another country. Then you've got to transfer all of your assets. That's not an easy thing to do. And if you're trying to be quiet about it or secret about it, it's even more difficult to do. So the fact is that there's more Americans expatriating this country now than ever before in history, I believe. On top of that, the same situation was happening in Europe. Don't forget what happened in Greece last year. When the fact is that the Greece economy just plummeted, the banks had closed for 7 to 10 days, nobody could get their money. How in the world do you operate a business, operate your family, live or do anything when you don't have access to your money? But owning an asset like a diamond, even if you didn't profit by it, but you just sold it to get cash to be able to get back into the game, to pay some bills, to get back in track, to feed the family, whatever you need to do, it's that type of asset. Again, most of us are never going to leave our country unless we absolutely have to. And the fact is, in most cases, you wouldn't have to. But just look what's happened over this last year and understand that it is possible. And there's a lot of people doing it. In Europe, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, all these countries are bankrupt. We just had a massive hurricane, and it hit along with all the islands and wiped out all the islands. It also did the same to Puerto Rico. Now, the fact is Puerto Rico will not have any power for 6 months to a year. How do these people live? Puerto Rico was already bankrupt. So these are the scenarios that are happening, and the people that live in these scenarios, are affected financially through no fault of their own. It's certainly not the people's fault of Puerto Rico that their budgets have been mismanaged and the country has absolutely no money. but now you're stuck on an island with absolutely no money, no power, no nothing. What do? And if you don't have access to your money, if you had an asset like a diamond, like a piece of art, like a rare watch, some coins or whatever, you can always get back in the game when you've got a hard asset. But stocks can go to zero, bonds can plummet, commodities you can have margin calls, but hard assets like diamonds and jewelry and coins and that type of thing will always have value. So that's why we brought that up, and it's probably never been more evident, the need for it, than now, for the reasons that I just gave. 2 massive hurricanes, an earthquake, and you've got all these people expatriating, and it's just an unbelievable time. And for most people, they just don't know what to do. And my heart goes out to us Canadians, because the fact is that I believe that the powers that be are either drinking the wrong Kool-Aid or something, but raising interest rates with no inflation at a time when more Canadians are in debt than any other time, and you've got a plummeting real estate market. I just can't figure that one out, Randy. For the life of me, I'm trying to see what they're possibly seeing and how in the world that's going to spur the economy. It can't, because when you are paying on your debt and they just raise the interest rates, whatever money you have, you need. And now that money is going in higher interest rates. So how in the world is that beneficial? How does that benefit the Canadian economy an iota in any way, shape, or form? It just doesn't make any sense. So, again, I don't have any assets in paper assets. I don't own any stocks. I don't own any bonds. Any commodities that I own physically. I have not sold my gold. I am not selling my silver. I'm continuing to collect diamonds. I think that the world financially is heading into one of the most troubling and difficult times we've ever seen. And while it's still feasible and still affordable, I want to get my ducks in a row. I want to make certain that I'm ready for the next phase of this financial debacle, because believe me, with President Trump as president, we're going to see some things that you would never ever believe happen, and the amount of hatred and discontent in the United States at this point is probably amongst the highest it's ever been. In fact, everybody's talking politics, but you don't want to talk politics because you don't want to get into, the discussions that are forthcoming. So, again, you need to diversify. Gold's a great investment at this point. I mean, it's going to break out at $1,380, but to diversify and to hold an asset that will offset losses in other markets, it's extremely important at this point to hedge your bets, because, again, we all know what these markets can do if the wrong situation happens.
Really, it comes down to, do you want an insurance policy in your financial portfolio? And that's why we recommend hard assets. And Harold has the insurance policies with gold, silver, and diamonds. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Telephone number, the call is free. Anything discussed, 100% confidential. rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. Our featured diamond of the week is a 1+ carat radiant cut fancy intense blue. See it online at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And now is a time, more than ever, as Harold was saying, a person must be prepared for the unexpected. And if you're sitting back complacent, you may get caught. And we say to you, all it takes is a phone call to Harold to find out exactly what the options are, what the possibilities are, and you may be surprised that having that insurance policy in your portfolio is something somewhere down the line, something that is a complete godsend. Because some of the things, as Harold was saying, that have transpired here in the last month have been very, very unfortunate. On the hard asset side, more information on cars. Rare barn find Ferrari sells for $2 million. A one-off Ferrari Daytona sold for $2.7 million over the weekend as part of one of the largest ever Ferrari auctions. And as well, there is a Ferrari that sold for a record $10 million at a charity auction LaFerrari Aperta supercar just sold at a charity auction for $10 million, the most money ever fetched by a 21st century vehicle. And of course, we passed on, I guess it was about a month ago, that there was an Aston Martin, and similar to the James Bond car that he drives in the movies, sold for $22.5 million. And one of the items that is coming up here very, very soon for auction is Paul Newman's Rolex. Paul Newman, the very famous actor, now no longer with us, deceased, his Rolex is coming up for auction, and they expect that this is a much coveted item. It's really, I guess, for watch collectors, it's the be-all and end-all. And there's going to be quite a bidding war for this auction item. And it's coming up in October at some point. We will keep you up to date on that. But, Harold, it is interesting to see that you have diamonds, gold, and silver. You have art. You have cars. You have handbags. You have watches. Hard assets definitely are starting to catch on with the mainstream investing public as they realize that in the world that we're in today, portable private wealth is so important. And we have about 3 minutes left here in our segment.
You bet, Randy. Again, most of us are brought up and learn things from our parents and grandparents. And again, I remember sitting with my grandfather and him telling me to buy stocks like General Motors and General Electric and all those and put them away for my future. If he was alive back in 2008, when the mortgage situation happened and the markets crashed and the Dow fell as much as it did and General Motors went to zero. It was bankrupt. So was Chrysler, so were the major insurance companies and retailers, and McDonald's was almost done. They couldn't make payroll and all that. So again, there's no set thing. I know, people are comfortable trading stocks type of thing, but most people that trade stocks lose their money. So the fact is that you do whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you're successful with. But in these times, in the world that we live in today, these are not normal times. Things have changed tremendously. Just stand in line at a movie theater and see 9 out of 10 people on their cell phones or on their smartphones type of thing. It's a different world. The way that the millennials, look at life type of thing are not the same, as when we were growing up if you're in your 60s or 70s type of thing. So as things are changing, we've got to adapt with them. One of the things we need to do is to learn how to protect our money and to be able to diversify when the time is right, when the markets get volatile, and that's exactly what's happening now. So if you're unsure of what the markets are going to do and you need a little bit of help, please give me a call. I'll spend as much time with you as you need, talking to you about what your potential is and maybe what you should be staying in and what you should possibly be getting out of, and it is my pleasure to do so. Randy and I have been doing this radio show together for going on 18 years now. We take our business very seriously, no matter what, through sickness and health and hurricanes and wars and everything going on. We have never, ever missed a show in all of the time that we've done it. We take our business very seriously. There's times that the markets are going our way. There's times that they won't. We're always going to be here for you, and we're always going to do our best to try to help you financially.
Connect with Harold, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. And don't forget, Harold has an auction ongoing, hsfineauctions.com. There's an auction underway right now. Go, sign up, and you can take a look at the items that are being auctioned off in the catalog and start bidding. You can take a look at that at hsfineauctions.com. Our featured diamond of this week is a 1+ carat radiant cut fancy intense blue. And Harold, we're thankful that you and your family are okay, and everything has, even though it's still very difficult in Florida, everything is going to be okay. Thank you for your knowledge and another great show.
It's my pleasure, Randy. Again, I want to thank everybody for all their good wishes. It really means an awful lot to us. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very profitable day.
And remember, Harold is there to take your call. That's why we do the radio program. He's there to answer any questions, help you obviously make money in the difficult environment that we're in. 1-800-432-1022, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, the website. That's it, another edition of the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.